Welcome to LSC. It's Sports Time. I'm your host, Bob Hintz. Today I have a guest, Phillip Brown, a former player at Phoebus High School. But we're going to talk about Phillip and how he got to where he played football not only at Phoebus High School but the UVA. Welcome, Phillip. Glad to have you.
Thanks. Glad to be here.
Let's go back when you first started playing ball. You were playing football at Wildcat, is that correct?
Yes, Wildcat is where I got my started. For those who are, from this area, know how important the youth leagues are. So I got my start with Wildcat, where actually Coach Carl was my head coach. Coach Anthony Green was offensive coordinator, and we had Jose Negron was actually our defensive coordinator. So we had a lot of, guys who came through the district on our staff. So it was definitely great to be under that.
Right, but you won a city championship down there.
I won a city championship. Intermediate level, we got to the championship and actually lost to a very good Fox Hill team who had a DB on their team. So, I don't feel bad about losing that. Right, right. So we didn't make it my intermediate year, but came back strong my junior year and won a city championship and against a good East Hampton team.
Okay, but you didn't win just city championships in football. You did other things.
I did it all. Well, actually, I have an older brother who was very instrumental in me being in the sports. Right. So I did football, baseball, basketball, track, and I actually won 3 city championships in baseball. Phoebus Little League.
Okay.
I won a city basketball championship with Wise Thomas and East Hampton. Where Coach Donahue was the coach. I won, like I said, I won a city championship with Wise Thomas, district title with Phoebus, and then 2 state titles. So I've been winning at every stage.
Level. Yeah, right. Well, that's great. Now, so you basically played sports year round.
Oh yeah, definitely year round, and that was something that kind of kept me, out of the streets, kept me in doing good in school, and it kept me, just kept my mind focused on something other than, being destructive.
Well, and that's real important what you just said. Keep you focused on not only athletics but on academics, because you can't get to the next level.
Absolutely.
If you don't have the academics.
Absolutely, and something that I learned at an early age, you want to go to college, they say the key thing is you're a student athlete, and the first thing is student. So, I had to definitely, and unfortunately, a lot of young men don't grow up with fathers in their life, so a lot of coaches, stepped in and played that role for me. So I definitely looked up to coaches and, definitely learned respect and how to be a man.
Well, and evidently your brother was probably also a father figure for you at some point.
Absolutely.
So then you get to Phoebus. You walk on to Phoebus. What kind of feeling was that?
It was just that the butterflies, the jitters. I mean, coming from rec league, the Wise Thomas team, where I was kind of a big fish in a small pond, I get to Phoebus first day of training, and I'm seeing guys in cutoff shirts and muscles and big necks, and I'm a scrawny freshman, and I'm looking around, but I kind of just stepped right in and just was relentless at an early age.
Right. So when you started playing there and got to play for a good coach in Bill D, and talk a little bit about that experience, not only D, but whoever your backfield coach was.
And I'm pretty sure Coach D is not aware of it right now, but he was real tough on me early. And, he never really talked to me. He never really paid me any attention. And a lot of kids can sometimes, take that the wrong way and quit or get discouraged. And I kind of, that really made me, want to impress him, want to show Coach D what I was all about.
Okay.
So the type of coach he is, he's not gonna, baby you, he's not gonna pamper you. It's up to you to prove to him what you're worth.
Right.
So, early on, he instilled that in me, that every day I have something to prove. So that was definitely a good learning lesson being under that staff.
Right. Okay, now, but you just didn't play defensive back. Wide receiver, running back, sometimes a quarterback, similar to what they call now the Wildcat.
Right, the Wildcat.
You would go in at quarterback and do the Wildcat, basically. Didn't have a name for it back then.
Right, didn't have a name for it.
What did you guys call? What was that? Was it I know he had backfield formation he called the elephant. That's
elephant,
where everybody
right,
was lined up in one straight line. But did he have a name for your?
It was probably just Brown, get out and make something happen. I don't think we had a name for it, but Coach D could, sometimes he, depending on the game, he just improvised and just say, Brown, get out there, make something happen, because he knew I was a playmaker, and I definitely would love that challenge to make something happen.
Okay. Now, he must put you on a weight program. Everybody's on a weight program when they go to the high school level now. Who was your coach, or the one that really worked with you in the weights?
Our strength and conditioning coach was Greg Day. And if you ever see Greg Day, you can tell why he's our strength and conditioning coach. He's a big man, and we had our program was called Bigger, Faster, Stronger, and that was our motto. We just wanted those three things: bigger, faster, and stronger. And I definitely achieved all three of those things when I got to Phoebus.
Right. Talk about Greg Day. Greg was over at Bethel when I was coaching, so I've known Greg since he was younger than you, when he was in high school.
Right.
And that's a tremendous thing to have a coach that comes in and challenges you. And I think that's what all the kids need to happen. But now you were fortunate enough to win a couple of state championships at Phoebus. What was that like?
It was awesome. It was awesome. I come from a culture where, the Hampton Crabbers was all, people talked about, Ronald Curry, Mondo Curry, and we was always under that shadow, could never quite get over the hump. And, it was so exhilarating, and it was like the monkey was off our back, once we beat them out for the first time.
Right.
One of those 2 state titles is something I'll never forget, especially the first one. It was our first one in school history, and it's just something that I'll always cherish and remember for forever.
Who are some of the guys who was on that team with you?
Oh, man, where do I begin? We had...
I don't want you to leave off, but, we apologize if we leave off somebody.
Right, apologize if I leave anybody off. But at quarterback, we had Ronnie Hendricks, and we all know that he did amazing things.
Right.
Rest in peace. We had Xavier Debe. We had Elin Lewis. We had Shadeed Harris, Travis McWright, Michael Littlejohn, Floyd Braxton. The list goes on and on and on. Jeremy Blunt.
I don't want you to.
Yeah, but like I say, every position we pretty much were stacked. Every position.
Well, and after you were there and you won the first one, then to turn around and win another one, that means you put like the cherry on top of the whipped cream now.
Right. And that kind of, the second title was definitely harder to accomplish. We lost a lot of seniors. We had a strong senior core my junior year. So coming my senior year, we lost a lot of guys, a lot of new positions getting filled. So it was very harder. But we definitely came together more as a team, and so that one is just as important as the first one.
Well, and after losing a core of seniors to come back and win it, that's unbelievable.
Right.
And what was position that you liked the best?
Like the best, I really like the ball in my hand. I'm a playmaker. I like to, just do a lot of exciting things.
Right.
But then I also like to hit and cover guys and play defense. So it's kind of, it's a good balance.
Wide out and defensive back.
Right. But if when I went to college, I definitely chose to stick with defensive back. That position is hard. It's hard to find a good shutdown corner. So the demand for a good shutdown corner is high in terms of going to the next level. So, I just tried to not try to do too much, but just not spread myself thin,
Well, and I had Jerry Holmes in here. Played 12 years in the NFL. Was a wideout at Bethel High School. Got to defensive back when he went to college in West Virginia. Ended up playing 12 years as a defensive back.
Oh, yeah. You're definitely going to find that a lot. You go to college and you're playing one position and the coach might need you here or see something. You don't know what he's seeing, but he might see something in you and change the position. But you have to be willing to, just change and be ready to go no matter the circumstances.
Right. Well, now after you've gone through and had the success, you had success in the rec league, you had success in the high school. Now you get recruited. Talk about the recruiting process that you went through to go to UVA.
Well, that process is definitely something. It was definitely fun, but it was very time consuming. It was very tiring and stressful, that whole period. It's something that I really wouldn't want to have to do again right now. But it was certainly fun. I got letters from, USC, Notre Dame, Florida Gators, pretty much every school you can think of. I had, they showed interest. And I visit, a few schools, and it was just something that, a lot of older guys would tell me. When you get to that school, you'll know. And it was like when I walked on the UVA campus and when I hung out with a couple of the guys, I just knew instantly.
That was it?
That was it.
How about that? And to tell somebody about it, yeah, sure, right?
Right.
But it really did work that way.
Right. It sounds, such a cliche to say, you'll just feel it in your heart. But, a lot of guys that I grew up looking up to, Michael Johnson and the Marcus Hagan and Elton Brown, Darryl Blackstock, a lot of those guys were there. And I saw how close they were. Right. And to be a part of that, I just felt I had to be there.
All right. You had one coach that was very instrumental in getting you to UVA, and that was Coach London.
Coach London, Mike London, and he's another Peninsula guy. He's from this area. I believe he went to Bethel High School. Right. So he knows his area, very well. He knows the players, and he's just like a father, basically like a second father. I mean, he stepped right in. He didn't, tell me any stories. He just man to man told me exactly what it was. He came and looked my mom right in the eye and told her that, he'll make sure, everything is going good. And he definitely played a big role in me deciding to go to UVA.
Well, he left there, and now he's back as the head coach.
Right, he's back as the head coach.
I had him down here, and he remembered recruiting you, so that was a good thing to hear that. Now, then you go through your freshman year, and you started as a true freshman.
Right.
Tell me about that, because that's very unusual for somebody to walk in. Normally they're going to get redshirted, or if they play as a freshman, they're going to be a starter. But you were a starter as a true freshman.
Well, I mean, first off, I had to really bulk up. When you get to college, you have a playing weight. If you're too heavy or too light, you might not be able to travel or play that week. So I really, went to the weight room, took that serious, and I bulked up. I got up to I think I gained about 10 pounds by the start of the season. Right. And, I just really had to work hard. The guy in front of me, he was a 3-year starter, and, not to take anything from him, but I just worked hard, and I really wanted it. And I started, first 2 games, I was starting nickel, but by the 3rd, 4th game of the season, I was full-fledged starting corner.
Oh, that's just unbelievable. Great. And then something not so good happened.
Yeah.
But you've got a great attitude, and we'll talk a little bit about that. You came down with cancer. Mm-hmm. Young man, come down with cancer. This is an old person's disease.
Right. And I think that's such a common misconception that people think, especially the type of cancer that I had testicular cancer, and that's the same cancer that Lance Armstrong had. Right. So a lot of guys mistake testicular with prostate cancer, which is something you get much older in life. And, so it was just a situation where, I just had some pains and I didn't know, and a lot of guys, especially, we're so stubborn and hard-headed that you just want to keep going.
As an athlete,
just an athlete, you're like, it's just,
I can
cramps. I can work through it, right, exactly. And that's what a lot of, I want to definitely talk to a lot of young guys in different schools, high schools, middle schools, because when you're 13, 14, 15, you're at risk for this type of cancer.
Okay.
It's nothing it's not later on. It's right now, middle school, high school kids. So, definitely self-exams, giving yourself, self-exams while you're in the shower, and the same way women will get themselves a breast exam. It's the same thing for guys. And just being aware of your body. You know your body, when something's not right and something not feeling right. And that's just basically what it comes down to, early detection.
All right, so what kind of treatment did you have to go through?
I went through 12 weeks of chemo, which is rough. Wow. It's rough.
And it zaps you, from what I understand. So
when I started chemo, I was about 208, and about the middle of chemo, I was down about 140. Wow. So the physical change, the 208 to 140, so just the physical change. Then, on top of zapping my energy and being sick all the time. But they say that, and the whole time I read Lance Armstrong's book, the whole time I was going through treatment, and your attitude, mental attitude is half the battle. How you approach it and go into it, and I'm a fighter. I've always been, since my first day stepping into YH, to Phoebus, to UVA. I've always wanted more.
Right.
So I just put my gloves on and prepare for a fight.
Fantastic. So are you in remission now?
Yes, I'm in remission in year 3 of surveillance. I used to have a CAT scan regularly, maybe every 3 months. Now it's just recently moved to once a year. So
Fantastic.
God is good. That's definitely a blessing.
Well, you're a fighter.
Absolutely.
Well, I appreciate you coming by.
Thanks. I definitely appreciate you having me. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you for tuning in to LSC and Sports Time. I want to thank my special guest, Phillip Brown, for his candor today. I'm your host, Bob Hintz. Till next time.